Orbs can be any shape, so I don't know what to call them other than light beings. They can be rectangular, round, all different colors. Some look like cells in the middle. Here is a cell under the microscope. Most of these are algae cells, but they resemble orbs. How big can they be? What shapes can they have? These are diatoms, which is a major form of algae, and they take all different shapes and sizes. So I'm not sure if there's a relation between cells and light beings and the ones that are 2 to 3 miles wide in the universe. So NASA cameras also record this phenomenon. And with analysis, it can be proved that the ones that the Space Shuttle Columbia recorded are 2 to 3 miles wide, if not bigger.
A couple of star-like things and a lot of things swimming in the foreground. Can you describe what you're seeing?
Well, the long line is a tether, and there's a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us.
So what you just saw on the videotape showed a satellite attached to a 12-mile-long tether, which is like a conductor cable. It's a very, very thin, 1/10 of a centimeter in thickness cable that was used to conduct electricity in the Earth's ionosphere. As we saw earlier, space is supercharged with high-energy particles, and NASA was trying to take advantage of these particles to see if they could build up a charge on the tether and actually see a gain or produce some electricity. They charged the tether with some electricity, but then an overload of highly charged particles flooded the tether and produced so much electricity it snapped. On February 25th at about 7:30 p.m., the tether broke away from the Shuttle Columbia and drifted about 77 miles away. So the scene that you just saw actually starts at about 77 miles away. The camera pans down, we see a long line, which is 12 miles long of tether, a small satellite attached to the end, and then a swarm of little objects, little balls of light, just moving in from all different directions and different velocities and different speeds. Then the cameras actually zoom in and we actually get to take a close look at what we're seeing here. It's astounding. We see up here in the right-hand corner, we see a very large disk clearly going behind the tether, magnetic field effect. And coming through the middle, we see another very large disk moving clearly behind the tether. The light from the tether shines in front of the background object, which is the UFO. If we use this piece of wood as an example, we can see what a disk looks like when it's passing behind a foreground object. It's really very quite simple. So if the disk was passing in front of the tether, it would look something like this, and it doesn't look like that. When we look in the middle and we see this large disk passing through the middle, we can see again it's passing behind the tether. If this was the tether and this was the UFO, we could clearly see it's going behind. And if it was going in front, it would look something like this. It doesn't look like that. So because we know the shuttle is at least 77 miles away and drifting further away from the object, from the tether, and we know the objects are going behind the tether, we can therefore use the 12-mile length of the tether as a relative measuring rod for actually making measurements of the minimum diameters of some of these disks. And according to my calculations, against the 12-mile length of the tether, this disk passing through the top section here measures a minimum of 2 to 3 miles in diameter. That's assuming it's right up next to the back of the tether. If it's actually farther behind the tether than I think, then the disk could be much, much larger.
That there is another being that's a part of this sphere being alliance that are actual spheres. Size really doesn't matter to them. They can appear large enough to encompass our entire solar system, which they have done, or they can be as small as a ping pong ball.
I believe light beings have a part to play, and I do believe they're alive. We might not understand this form of life because our scientific knowledge is limited. I believe, and I think that it's true, that there is much more to life than meets the eye, much more for us to learn, new things for us to understand, different paradigms to explore, different frequencies that we haven't experienced. And I believe in the future we'll be developing ways to measure this in a more scientific way. But in the meantime, I believe this film shows evidence of something that has not been explored and has not been explained. And I'm excited for the future to continue to film these things and ask the questions. What do you believe? What are they? Why are they here? And what is their intended purpose? Will we ever know the answers to these questions? I have no clue.